In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I've made over $10,000 every single month talking to strangers over Zoom. Now, this hasn't just been for the last 12 months or even 24 months. This has been for well over 3 years now. And this isn't just what I've done to make over $10,000 every single month, but it's also what guys like Levi has done at 23 to do over $22,000 in a single month.
What'd you hit last month? 22.9, I think. I'm gonna have to check the numbers. It's around that. I kept seeing it go up, and I was kind of a little bit in disbelief. I was like, oh, there's no way this can keep going, because it was every day. It was like, multiple deals coming up.
It's what guys like River at 21 have used to make over 15K a month.
So my name is River Shaw, and I made $15,000 in commissions last month.
My other students like Anton, who's based in New Zealand, who's done over 20,000 a month. Luke, who's done over 35,000 a month. Not to mention Jax at 19, who hit 10K a month.
And then the third full month did 10.7.
So like 6 months in sales total to get to 10.7K.
Or Zen, who hit 15K last month in Bali. Or even Devin, who hit 17K last month. And just so that you know that I'm not bullshitting you, here is a refresh of my Stripe account for the last 12 months. So if I just refresh that there, you can see well over 10,000 a month, and that's just from Stripe, not including bank transfers and other payment processes. But without further ado, what is the actual vehicle that we're using to make this sort of money in our early 20s? And this isn't brand new. This has been around for the last few years now, and it's exactly what guys like Alex Hormozi and even Iman Gadzi have used to this day to generate a shit ton of money. Not only now, not only in the past, but also why it's going to continue to boom over the next 3, 5, even 10 years. And the reason for that is the education system as a whole is making a huge shift in a different direction. Up until now, most people have been told, go to university, go to college, get your degree after 4 years, work a job, work that job to pay off your mortgage, and then continue to get promotion after promotion to make an extra 5 to 10% every single bonus. And most people, especially younger people in their 20s today, are realizing that spending $100,000 on a 4-year degree is a scam. And so what that's causing is people to look for alternate ways of upskilling and educating themselves to make money. Especially at the moment where people want to travel, they want to come to places like this, they want to work from their laptop, and they want to have that flexibility in their schedule. So with the rise in demand of that, there's more and more people teaching skills to make money. So these could be online coaching programs, online courses that teach skills to get into a certain career. So for example, I've worked with people that teach cybersecurity skills so they can land a 6-figure income working in cybersecurity. Instead of spending 50 grand, 100 grand on a uni degree, they can spend 10 grand on a 1-year course that teaches them the skills they need to land a job in that field. There's coaching programs on how to improve your health, how to improve your relationships, how to scale your business. And with all of these coaching programs, they need to be sold. Just like this chair has been sold to someone, just like this apartment has been sold to someone, everything in the world needs to be sold, including education. And so like I mentioned earlier, where you've got guys like Iman Gadzi, Alex Hormozi, and pretty much any large influencer you can think of, they most likely have some sort of online coaching or education platform that they use. Now, because these guys have amassed such a large following, they don't have the time to take every single call step by step themselves. So what they do is they hire someone like me, a digital closer. And so what is a digital closer? A digital closer is essentially a middleman between the product or the program that someone wants to purchase and the client themselves. So for example, for the last 12 months, I worked with a large influencer in Australia called Zach Perner. So over the last 10 years, Zach built a huge fitness brand, especially in Australia, and he wanted to teach other people how to build their own fitness brand and their own fitness coaching business. Now, because Zach has over 500,000 followers on Instagram, over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, he doesn't have the time nor the patience to sit down for 8-10 hours a day taking Zoom calls with people that want to work with him. So what he did is he brought on a digital closer like me to come in and close these deals for him.
Your approach and like how you do things was very different, because the clients, they love it, like the customers love it, and they feel like you are genuinely like wanting the best for them, and you're fucking good closer.
So essentially what that would look like is someone would be interested in his service, they would book a call to find out more, and they would speak with me, where I would ask them a bunch of questions about where they're at, where they want to go, and overall see if Zach even can help. And then once we knew that his program would align with what they wanted, it was a simple presentation to show them how we can actually solve those problems. Now, the price point of his offers ranged anywhere between $6,000 even up to $24,000. And for every single deal that I closed, I brought home 15% in commissions if I just closed the appointment. Now, I also had other bonus opportunities where if I set the appointment, if I called them earlier, I would actually get an extra 5%. More on that later. Now, typically what you get paid is 10% for a close. I just negotiated 15% plus 5% if I set the appointment myself. So essentially, if you set the appointment, it means you're actually booking the Zoom call in the first place, and the Zoom call is where you close them. Now, typically, if you're an inbound closer, let's say, you would just be doing the Zoom call where you'd get 10%, and sometimes you can get an extra 5% if you're setting the deal as well, where it gets you to 15. So for myself, when I was working with Zach, if I closed a $6,000 deal, I would make $900 in commissions. If I closed a $24,000 deal, I would make $3,600 in less than an hour, again, talking to a stranger over Zoom. And the crazy thing is, people think that these conversations are some wild ninja tactics where you have to have done sales and have a load of experience. But the truth is, in 2025, you actually don't need to use all of the tactics you see in things like Wolf of Wall Street or that you see in Hollywood movies. All you simply have to do is have a conversation with people, treat them like a human, ask them genuine questions with genuine intent, show that you care, and just show them how your solution is what they actually need to fix their problems. If you can do that, you're not only helping a shit ton of people, but you can also make a shit ton of money from wherever you are in the world, from your laptop. Again, talking to strangers over Zoom. Cool. Now that we've covered what digital closing actually is, I want to talk a little bit about why I chose it as the vehicle to make money and why so many other students are choosing it as a vehicle for them. Now, the reason I say they chose that vehicle is because the truth is there's hundreds, if not thousands of ways you can make money in 2025. There's no shortage of options. You could start an e-commerce brand. You could go and learn how to trade. You could do crypto. There's all of these different things that you could do. But the reason that my students and myself chose digital closing is for a few reasons. Number one, you don't have any overheads. Overheads in the sense that you don't need to pay for a team, you don't need to pay for staff. You also don't have the responsibility of managing an entire company. You also don't have to bring in your own leads. You don't have to do marketing. You don't have to record content. All you have to do is show up to Zoom on your laptop and again, talk to a stranger. And once you're done, you're done. Now, to an extent, obviously, you've still got to treat yourself like a business owner in the sense where you've got self-initiative, you have drive, you're actually going to continue to upskill outside of the sales calls themselves, because that's what's going to make you the most money. Another benefit of digital closing is you don't need any experience to get started. You don't need to be an extrovert. You don't need to be an introvert. It really doesn't matter. You don't need to have a degree. You don't need to have paid $100,000 for 4 years to then realize it's not something you want to do. And you also don't need to be some slick suit-wearing real estate agent. You can be a normal guy that wears normal clothes like this, sometimes in your pajamas. Now, I've spoken to a lot of guys that have worked with me that come from an agency background, or they've tried e-commerce, they tried dropshipping, they tried trading, and it didn't work out for them. I even had one agency owner, Devin, who ran an agency for 2 years, got into sales, and made more from sales in his first 6 months than he did in 2 years with his agency. And that just goes to show that starting a business isn't always the best option. By the way, if you want to learn a little bit more about exactly what high ticket sales is, I made an FAQ video going over that step by step with all of the most common questions that you guys ask. So if you want to see that, just look in the description, it'll be somewhere there. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is how do you actually get into this industry? A lot of people overcomplicate it, but it's really only 2 steps. 1, you need to have the skills of how to sell, and 2, you need to land an offer. Offer is essentially a job where you're partnering with the company like I did with Zach Perner or any large influencer, and you start closing for them. Now let's start with the skills. There's a lot of different ways you can upskill. You can join communities, you can role play with other people that are in sales, you can read books. If you check out my channel or other YouTube channels, you can also learn there too. You want to start with the basics. So start with things like tonality, questions that you're asking, how to probe deeper on certain pain points, and also how to objection handle. Now, once you've learned the basics, you then want to land an offer as soon as possible. Because without actually being on an offer, it doesn't matter how many practice calls you run, you're not going to really develop until the stakes are actually real. So, how do you find an offer? Now, what most people tell you to do is go on Instagram and message 50 to 100 business owners every single day, cold messaging them, asking them, would you be opposed to hiring a commission-based closer? For the love of fuck, do not do that. The reason for that is what every single person looking to get into the space is doing. So when everyone zigs, we need to zag. So if everyone is applying through Instagram and messaging business owners directly, we want to do a different approach that's going to get different results. Now, I'm also not going to say to apply on LinkedIn. I wouldn't advise to go on job boards either. Again, that's what everyone's doing. You could go to a recruiter, but again, it's more common. One of the ways that no one else in this space will tell you on how to land an offer is through networking. Now, when I say networking, I'm not talking about just jumping for a virtual coffee are just chatting for the sake of chatting. But what I mean is building relationships strategically with the right people inside of companies that can then refer you to the offer. Because for example, the first closer that I hired for Zach Perner wasn't through a job board. It was through a referral. It was someone who networked their way to me. Same with my second closer, Anton. I already knew who he was before I hired him. And a lot of the times that's where the best opportunities lie. Because think about it yourself. If you were hiring someone as a business owner, who are the first people you would ask? You'd ask your current team members if they know anyone. And so it's not about who you know necessarily, but it's about who knows you. Because if you can come up in those conversations when the business owner says, hey, do you know anyone that we can hire? Then you can get your foot in the door before anyone else has even seen the job opportunity get posted. Now, the last thing I want to touch on before you actually land these offers and before you accept the roles, you've got to vet the offer. There can be a bit of misinformation with offers out there. Business owners might sometimes exaggerate the numbers. And so there's actually a process you want to run through to make sure the offer is legit. So you want to ask things like, how many salespeople are in the company? How much are they making? How much revenue is the company generating consistently? What are the lead sources? Are they just getting leads through ads, or do they have organic presence as well? For example, Zach Perner, when I worked with him, we started off just organically with his content. Then we ran ads and we added more channels to that. But I knew that he would be a good offer because he already had a very large social media following. So that's really it. That's all you need to know to make $10,000 plus, if not a hell of a lot more, every single month from your laptop in places like this. I mean, I'm in Lake Como right now, which is pretty surreal. And so if you want to start doing that, the first thing I would say is to surround yourself with other people that are doing that. Now, if you do want help with that, I don't want to make this a sales video, but there is a link in the description. It's the first one there. If you click on that, you can learn a little bit more about my mentorship, where that's exactly what I help guys do. So if you do want to know more about that, just click the link in the description. Or if you want to learn more in depth how you can actually land these sales roles, like I just mentioned, then click this video here.